How is everybody doing tonight? Normally we do these on Monday, but of course there was a game last night. AFL Fan Zone Game of the Week, week 5. My apologies. The Philly Soul at the LA Kiss was last night, so of course we had to do this one on Tuesday. But I kind of want to wait till we get a couple people in here, at least one person, and then we'll get started here. Yeah, Arena Football League, week 5. All right, so let's get this thing started. Let's get it kicked off. First game of the weekend, of course, was the Orlando Predators going over to Cleveland to face the Gladiators. This actually turned out to be quite a good game, seeing as that Cleveland is down to their third quarterback. Avril Nelson came in and played pretty damn well for basically being a linebacker for much of his Arena League career. If you guys missed the game, Cleveland was actually up going into the fourth quarter. They were up 56-55. Avril Nelson was playing well, like I said. Trying to pull up his stats here. He went 25-37 for 6 touchdowns and 2 picks. That's better numbers than Nathan Stanley did over there in LA. But of course, Orlando wins 76-56. Cleveland was unable to score in the fourth quarter. They were Orlando finally was able to take a game where they had the lead late and just, put their hand on the throat of the opponent and just say, hey, we're not going to let you come back in the fourth quarter. After the Portland game where they struggled, having to barely come back and win that one, and then they barely beat Jacksonville at the end, and then they barely beat LA even though they were up 20 points going into the fourth quarter. So finally Orlando gives us some confidence that they have a chance against Arizona by going into the fourth quarter against Cleveland and taking it to the Gladiators, which is obviously great to see. I was going into thinking about next week. Obviously, that's the game of the week, Arizona at Orlando. But the way Orlando's been struggling with some lower-ranked teams, it was kind of nerve-wracking to see if Orlando would be able to hold up against Arizona. As far as Cleveland, man, how can you not like what Cleveland's doing? I understand they lost, but to be able to have their third-string quarterback play that well and have a team still playing that hard when they've only had one win on the season, which was the last-second win against Tampa Bay. You got to like what Cleveland's doing. We're hoping that that kind of effort translates over to Portland and basically LA. LA seems to struggle until the other team basically takes their foot off the gas, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But basically, Orlando and Cleveland, that ended up being probably the second best game of the weekend. It was very close going into the fourth, and like I said, Orlando pulled it out 76-56. Orlando has, like I said before, they host Arizona next week. Obviously, that's the game of the week, and thankfully, that one will be on CBS Sportsnet. So we're actually the nationally televised game will actually be the game of the week this week. So that will definitely be exciting, and that should be a fun one to preview for you guys. Cleveland, they have, let's see, who do they play next week? Let's see, Cleveland has, I know this, Jacksonville. Of course I knew that. Jacksonville travels to Cleveland. Cleveland again has a home game. They're just, because of the Republican National Convention, I think it's Republican, they're getting all their home games out of the way right away, which is not very good, seeing as that they're only they're 1-4, so they're not winning them. But like I said, Cleveland hosts Jacksonville in week 6. The second game of the week was Saturday, Portland at Arizona. I'm not going to go over this too much. Arizona, I mean, they won 68-21. I don't know how Portland scores 21. They scored on the first drive, which they seem to do all season. They score on the first drive and then pretty much struggle the rest of the game. But, I mean, what else is there to say? Arizona, Rod Windsor puts up a lot of points. Nick Davila plays well. I mean, there's not much to say about this game. I mean, I don't know if anyone has anything about this one. Hibbert on offense, Demetrius Tyson on Arizona on D, and Small playmaker of the week. Oh yeah, Darius Reynolds definitely gets that playmaker. He played amazing. Yeah, I'm not going to go over the Arizona-Portland game. I mean, if you really want to look at an Arizona-Portland game, I mean, it was a complete blowout. Portland just seems to not have any kind of they seem to lost their effort. They're not, as soon as they get down, they just kind of, you know, they give in. Not unlike Cleveland and actually Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay keeps going. You see that effort in the fourth quarter. I don't care what anyone else says. I see it. I think Lawrence Samuels, as far as wins, obviously isn't getting the job done, but as far as getting his players ready to go and keeping fighting in the fourth quarter, he's doing a great job in that aspect. Yeah, Darren Thomas, I'm pretty sure he's going to play Monday night against LA. I mean, there's no reason to keep going with Casey Peters. He didn't. It's not like he lit the whole world on fire. I mean, he looked just as bad as he looks, you know, with that long hair. But yeah, like I said, I'm not going to go over that game pretty much. Arizona wins 68-21. Arizona travels to Orlando week 6 to take on the Predators, and Portland goes to LA. And in case you guys don't know, that game has been moved to LA. It was supposed to be LA at Portland, but because of the Trailblazers, the NBA team being on their playoff game, the game's been moved to LA, and it looks like Los Angeles is actually giving away free tickets to that game. So if you're in LA and you want some free tickets, there's a free game for you. And it's actually going to be a later time. It'll be 10 o'clock Eastern time this time instead of 8 o'clock. So it'll be a little bit better for you guys there on the West Coast. But that game, yeah, I definitely think that one's going to be Darren Thomas' first game. I think it was because he was signed so late, Todd, that there was no real reason to throw him into the fire against Arizona and kill his confidence right away. I think they were like, all right, go out there, Casey, and just, you know, do what you do. Let's get out of here. It just seemed that way. There was just no fire for Portland. So, all right, the game of the week actually happened on Sunday. I mean, what can you say? Jacksonville goes to Tampa Bay, and we all think, all right, this is going to be a complete blowout. Jacksonville finally figured it out after taking Arizona to overtime. They put up a ton of points against Arizona. Arizona, that was the first time they'd given up more than 28 points in a game. Hey, Jacksonville finally figured it out, just like last year in Week 5. Everything's figured out. Jacksonville's going to blow them out of the water. Tampa Bay is going to be done in the first quarter. But nope. Jacksonville puts up 33 points and just barely squeaks by Tampa Bay after Tampa Bay even had the ball there at the end. Had a chance. If Bain would have hit Tolliver there on third down, or I think it was second down in that last drive, I mean, we might be talking about Tampa Bay getting their first win against Jacksonville and going, what the crap is going on with Jacksonville? Not that we're already saying that anyway, because you win against Tampa Bay by 6 points and you're not exactly very happy about it if you're a Jacksonville fan. But it does get their second win. It's 2-3 for Jacksonville, while Tampa Bay falls to 0-4. Let's see what people are saying. Tampa's first team, 20 years. Come on, Brian. Steal my thunder, man. I was getting to that. All right. Horrible game, Kyle. Slow and boring. Sharks had only... All right. As far as scoring, and I know the Arena League is built on scoring, and that's the fun part of it, I will say it was the game of the week as far as how it played out and the fact that it was so close in the fourth quarter. Yes, if I was telling someone, hey, go watch this game on replay, I'll just tell them, all right, start at the fourth quarter. Don't even watch the first 3 quarters. You'll fall asleep. But turn it on the fourth quarter, and it was definitely a game in the fourth quarter. Like Brian says, Tampa Bay said they're just setting all kinds of futility records on offense. They need Boltus to come back any day now. But first team in 20 years to go the first 4 games of the season without scoring 30 points. I mean, that's putrid. I mean, it's the Arena League. You got 50 yards and you can't get 30 points. I mean, there's NFL teams that score, in the high 20s per game. So Tampa Bay's definitely got to figure out something on offense. I mean, like I said, that their effort is great and they're playing to the end. They're not just giving up and just walking out there and going through the motions for 3 or 2.5 hours and then leaving. I like the effort Tampa showed, but as far as this game, I will say it was the game of the week because, like I said, that fourth quarter was awesome. You thought the game was over. Tampa turned the ball over. Jacksonville goes all the way down, and Derrick Ross fumbles on the 1-yard line. I mean, and then Tampa goes down, scores, almost get a pick on the next drive. I mean, holy crap. Like I said, we were almost talking about a Tampa Bay win against Jacksonville. But that fourth quarter, man, that was just the different things that happened. That ridiculous diving catch by T.T. Tolliver, which shouldn't have even had to be that because there was no one within 10 yards of him. If Bain would have just hit him in stride, he could have just stood there and waited for it. But it's still an amazing catch. Of course, Rod Windsor gets the Cutter's catch of the week this week. Spoiler alert on the Players of the Week, but I think TT should have been the catch of the week. But I mean, you watch that game. If you watch that game from the beginning, you're thinking, all right, there's no way Tampa's going to win this game. They're not even going to have a chance because Bain, I mean, he would have one good drive, and even the announcers would say they'd go like 3 drives, and they were like, all right, it's time to put Kennedy in. And then all of a sudden he plays like freaking Davila for one drive. He looks amazing, throwing pinpoint passes, dropping it into the bucket, and all of a sudden, everyone's like, oh, okay, Bain's figured it out, and then he goes 3 more drives. But I mean, 27 points and you only lose by 6, that's not good for Jacksonville. That's just terrible. We have no choice. Boltus is teaching in high school and has to wait until... Yeah, I know. I definitely know that he's teaching and they just basically have to sit back and wait. But, I mean, we're going to see these type of games until then. I'm hoping that Tampa can squeeze out a win. It's definitely not going to be this week against Philly, but they need to be rewarded for their hard work, just like Cleveland. Those are both 2 teams that continue to fight even though that their record isn't showing it. I definitely root for Tampa, but yeah, like I said, if you have a chance to go watch this game, start it at the fourth quarter. And I swear you'll be entertained for a whole 15 minutes. That was an amazing fourth quarter, and it's very fun to watch. Like I said, Tampa goes to Philly next week. Philly's on a roll. I mean, they're basically doing anything they want. And then Jacksonville, like I said before, they go to Cleveland to face the Gladiators. The final game of the week... Last night's LA Kiss Philly Soul game. I will say off the bat, I missed probably half of the game because it was having technical difficulties on ESPN3 to start out with. I don't have Univision Sports, so I couldn't watch even the Spanish version. So I had to listen to a lot of the game. So I basically had to go off of what the Philly Soul radio announcers were saying. But I mean, I hate to bring this up. I mean, I think I beat it into a pulp last week, but holy crap, Nathan Stanley. Like, I know that there's not many options, but there's got to be some kind of repercussions for his play. I mean, he went 18 of 41. 18 of 41. He threw 4 touchdowns and 2 picks. And 2 of those touchdowns, those last 2 to Donovan Morgan, the first one, he got bailed out on a ridiculous one-handed catch from Morgan. Got lucky. If it was anywhere closer, it would have been a pick 6. The second one should have been picked, but Romaine, I think it was Romaine, just mistimed the jump, and it just fell into the... Actually, not even into the lap of Morgan. He still had to like turn backwards to catch it. Stanley got the protection. He almost got DJ Stevens killed on a play where he got up into the pocket, which was great. He had great pocket awareness last night. I will give him that. Great pocket awareness. But for some reason, he decided to throw it every time. And each time, he either overthrew his receiver or like that one, where it was a great pass, but he just got he got lit up. DJ Stevens ended up missing like the whole second quarter after that. Came back in the second half, which was great, but I mean, Stanley's letting his receivers out to dry. He's overthrowing passes. I mean, it seems to be Stanley's once he hits adversity, right? So he had a good first couple drives. They're tied with Philly, 14-14. Okay, hey, maybe he's got this figured out. And then one bit of adversity, he throws that pick six, which was not even his fault. That was the play call. I mean, he took the ball, turned, and threw it, and a guy in, I think it was Belton, was just sitting there waiting for it. So that's not the quarterback's fault. That's a quick catch and throw. You know, it's not his job to read the defense. It's his job to catch and throw. That's just whatever they did on offense. Philly knew exactly what they were running. Something tipped Belton off, and they knew exactly what was coming. So I don't blame them on that. But ever since that play, that's when it all went to crap for Stanley. He hits adversity, and it's over. He definitely needs. I mean, I don't even know how you work on that. It just seems to be his game is more mental than physical. He has the throws. I mean, you see that some of his throws are just unbelievable. Drops in the bucket over two guys. You know, he had a couple good deep passes, but it just seems to be his game is mental. He throws a pick and he's done for the rest of the game. And he's throwing at feet. He's throwing 5 yards into the stands. I mean, for LA to get better, I mean, Stanley's basically got to do a 180, and it's, I guess if there's a week to do it, it'd be this week against Portland, because Portland is as poor as they are. They got Portland this week, and then they got a bye week. So, but let's see what people got to say. Got a lot on this. I wish I was there. Univision killed the crowd. There were only, my estimate, between 4,000 and 4,500 in the building. Oh, man, it was embarrassing at the beginning of the game. And I'm like, oh, maybe it's just because the game started so early and they'll end up getting more people there. But it was, I mean, I think they announced 6,500 fans, and there was no way there was that many people there. I'm starting to get really nervous that the Kiss won't have a team, because I mean, Paul and Gene really thought that they were going to make a lot of money off of this, and it would be this big adventure and all that kind of stuff. And seeing that the crowd, like, no one shows up, and the Kiss looked like the last 2 years, and they're just getting rolled over by every team they play, I'm nervous. But I don't want to get into that. You have to be at the game to see the truth. He should have had another pick, but a penalty saved the Kiss. He was off. Oh, man, he should have had like 3 more picks. He had the one, that got overturned, but then he also had that fumble that got overturned. They said was a pass, which I said to my wife last night. I said, if I was a Philly fan, I would have been pissed, because that was not his arm was not moving forward. That was definitely a fumble. So we got bailed out on that, and then there was a couple that fell right into Philly's hands, and they just dropped it. So Stanley's just playing. It's getting worse. He played worse this week than he did last week. 18 of 41. Holy, it's the Arena League. Guys are running wide open all over the field, and you can't even complete 50% of your passes. Now that Southwick's gone, Stanley is by far the worst quarterback. And that's where you split that line of haves and have-nots. We'll get into that when it comes to power rankings, but there's a definitive line between teams with a quarterback and teams without a quarterback. And Stanley, so far, I don't know if it's play calling. I don't know if it's first-year jitters. Mental, something's going on with Stanley. It's not working. They either need to sit him for a game just to get his head right, or I don't know. Defense was awful. They put a receiver and D-back. All right, so a microcosm of that entire game, and really a lot of the season for Kiss, was the opening drive of the second half. The Kiss get the ball. They take, what, 7.5 minutes off the clock? They can't even get within the 10-yard line. Just every yard seems so hard for the Kiss, right? So they turn the ball over on downs. Philly gets the ball. They go 40 or 35 yards, whatever it is. 2 plays, touchdown. Wide open player. First 3 touchdowns on the same play. What is going on with LA Kiss's defense? last week they held Orlando to 43 points. Orlando averages like 60 points a game. They scored 76 on Cleveland, and Cleveland's got a good defense. So they I don't know. I don't know what it is. And the bad part is, it's Todd. It's only going to get worse, man. I really think that Kaiser's out for the season. The way his knee bent, it looked like he sat on the outside of his ankle. It came down so hard. I mean, that right there, that play was the exact reason why you can't touch a punter's plant leg, in real football. That exact thing. He came down on one leg, he just got touched just a little bit, and his whole body weight just turned his whole leg sideways. Yeah, 8 minutes, 25 yards in that third quarter. That's just brutal. Brutal offense in the Arena League. Like I said, guys are running wide open, and you can't complete 50% of your passes. And then Philly goes off and scores on 2 plays. Like I said, to me that was a microcosm of that game right there. The Kiss take 8 minutes and don't score. Philly takes 2 plays and score. I mean, I think 4 of their touchdowns, there was not a Kiss player within 5 yards. I mean, and like I said, it sucks. It's only going to get worse because Kaiser's out. It definitely, at least for this week, but the way it looks like he's out for the season. I guess we did have some people on Twitter, some Arena League players saying, hey, call us up, Kiss. We want to play. We had receiver Adron Tennell, I think his name is. He said that. There's another corner. I was trying to find his name on there. He didn't really have his name on his Twitter handle, but he was saying, like, come on. Adron was telling the Kiss to try to get Virgil Gray to come back. I mean, hopefully that there's some reinforcements coming for the Kiss, but it was really, really ugly last night. And I really think it made it worse just the fact I couldn't watch it. It was ESPN3 was cutting in and out. I don't know if that happened for everybody else, but oh, damn. You were at the game, Todd? That's awesome. I so badly wish I could go to a Kiss game. But living in Virginia, there's nowhere near. The closest was Cleveland, and I couldn't go to that game at that time. I planned on going to the game in Tampa, but that one, because I'm moving this summer, so that's not going to happen. But anyway, Philly, I mean, Philly's finally figured it out. They did everything they wanted to do. Everything was working. I mean, they had a little lull there in the second half, or I think they went a couple drives, they didn't score, but they did anything they wanted in that first half. Their first 3 touchdowns were on the same play, the same post route, 3 touchdowns, and the Kiss couldn't figure it out. And then I think they scored on it there in the third quarter. So that's part of that drive that only took 2 plays. But it. After week 1 was definitely a fluke. I'll put it that way. I mean, they put up, I think, 66 points that first week, and we were thinking, hey, the Kiss finally figured it out. They got a quarterback, they got a coach. Hey, this is a brand new Kiss. And ever since then, it's been the same old. And it's very frustrating. I think the Kiss are great for the Arena League, but it's not great when they're not winning. And they're not just not winning, but like I said, they're getting blown out. Arizona blew them out. The game was over pretty much right after the half. Last night's game was over in the second quarter. The Orlando game should have been, but Orlando made a couple mistakes there at the end and ended up making that a game. But something's got to go. Something's got to go on with the Kiss. Thank goodness they play Portland and go into a bye. Omar Smith is going to go, I hope, into the drawing board and try to figure something out. Come back out after that, and I'm at a loss. I'm really at a loss because they have the. I can see, you can see it. Their talent is much better than it was last year, and they've only put up 50 points once that first game. Ever since then, it was 28 in week 2. It was 47, I think, in week 3 against Cleveland. It was 40 last week against Orlando, and then 33 this week. They struggle to put up points. I don't know why. When you got Captain Morgan, you got DJ Stevens. Collins looks to be a good receiver. I don't know. I'm ranting there. Buckner, Kaiser, Cleavon just cannot keep up with speed. Yeah, I mean when you got Cleavon, obviously he's a Arena League Hall of Famer and he's talented, but he should not have been on Darius Reynolds at all. He cannot keep up with Darius Reynolds' physicality or his speed. It wasn't good last night. Philly looks great. Like I said, not much to really say about that side. Philly did everything they were supposed to do. Played great on defense, played great on offense. Philly's starting to look like that team that I picked to win the Arena Bowl at the beginning of the year. I think it's a three-horse race right now. If you look at the standings, Jacksonville has 2 wins, Kiss have 2 wins, and then it's Cleveland's got to win, and then there's 2 winless teams. So after Philly, there's no one even close to competing right now. But next week, like I said, Kiss play Portland at the Honda Center because like I said before, the Trailblazers have a playoff game, so that game got moved to Anaheim, and then Philly hosts Tampa Bay. New thing I'm going to start doing, instead of doing it tomorrow on my Wednesday update, I'm going to start going over the standings here after I go over the games. So looking at the standings, on the American side, it stayed the same. It's Orlando, Philly, Jacksonville, Tampa, 1 through 4. Orlando 5-0, Philly 4-1, of course. Jacksonville 2-3, Tampa 0-4. So nothing changed there. The notable part of that is even though Jacksonville is only 2-3 and they struggled to score points, they still have 270 points, which is that's again. My apologies. They have 255 points for, 270 against. But that's your American Conference. Like I said, is Orlando 1, Philly 2, Jacksonville 3, Tampa Bay 4 after Week 5. The national side, you got Arizona at 1 with 5-0. LA's second, 2-3. Cleveland is 1-4 in third place, and Portland is 0-4. Of course, 2 winless teams at the bottom. That's your standings after 5 weeks. All 8 teams are on deck this week. But all right. So last part. Let's see what we got here. Dan Buckner. Yeah, you got worked in the Kiss. But let's go into power rankings for this week. I'm gonna start releasing my power rankings here on the show, and then I'll just post them later. But no surprise in the top 4. Like I said, really think about the haves and the have-nots of quarterbacks. Who has a quarterback? Arizona, Philly, Orlando, even Jacksonville has a quarterback. Even though that they're struggling, Tommy Grady's still a good quarterback. I don't put the blame on him. There's some bad game management by Les Moss, I think cost Jacksonville a couple games. But those 4 teams all have quarterbacks. And those 4 teams are the teams that are competing. Wow. That just broke some football just genius there on you. If you have a good quarterback, you might be able to compete. But there's no point really talking about. You always be able to read the whole recap of each one. But basically, 1, 2, 3, and 4 is Arizona, Orlando, Philly, and Jacksonville is my 1 through 4, my power rankings. Now, here's where it gets interesting. 5 through 8. There's been a little bit of a shakeup. I got LA dropping to 6, Cleveland jumping up into 5th. Yes, they only have 1 win. I understand that. But like I said before, their level of effort and the fact that, they're on their 3rd quarterback and they're still competing with unbeaten teams, Cleveland gets the nod here because I almost put Cleveland and LA in the same on the same rung. But Cleveland with Avril Nelson looks to have a quarterback. He played pretty 6 touchdowns, pretty good against Orlando's defense. So that's the first shakeup. I got Cleveland jumping up to number 5 for the first time. LA dropping all the way to 6th. Obviously, that's the farthest they've fallen all season. And the bottom 2. I moved. Yes, I do, Todd. I definitely moved Tampa over Portland, and this is why. I have had Portland 7 and Tampa 8 because I thought, hey, Portland has the better quarterback situation and better overall talent. That may still be the case as far as overall talent, but there is absolutely no effort, no drive. When the game's over in the at halftime. Portland doesn't come out and punch a team in the mouth and try to come back. Tampa does that. I don't care what anyone says. Other than that first game where it seemed to be Orlando just smacked them around. Yes, did they get whooped by Arizona? Everyone does, except for Jacksonville. I must have watched a different game because I saw a lot of effort in that second half for Tampa Bay. So they competed there in the first quarter. So, and they could have beat Cleveland. They barely lost on the last drive, I believe, against Cleveland. So they could have won that game. And then they could have beat Jacksonville on the last play or the last drive. So they competed in 2 games. And then, like I said, they were still competing in the second half against Arizona. Portland, did they play well against Orlando? Yeah. You definitely cannot take away how how Portland played against Orlando week 3 or week 2. But that was the only game that they had competed in. I understand that Tampa Bay struggles on offense scoring points, but look at this stat. So I pulled this up, right? Portland, if you take away that game that they lost against Orlando by, I think, 3 points or something like that, or end up being 9 or something, take away that game, they have lost by a combined 137 points in 3 games. That comes out to a 45 per game margin of defeat. Tampa Bay is nowhere near that. Like, they're struggling, I understand that, but they're not losing by 45 on average per game. That is absolutely putrid, and it doesn't look to be getting any better. So I had to jump Tampa above Portland this week, and until Portland can actually show something, like if they go into LA and beat LA, and then Tampa Bay still gets whooped by Philly, then obviously you got to jump Portland ahead because they get that win. But if they go into Monday night against LA, who has struggled against everybody except for Jacksonville in the second half, and they get run out of the Honda Center like they have pretty much every other game, then we may be looking at another 2008 Detroit Lions. I mean, when's Portland going to win a game at this point? I mean, maybe when Tampa travels, but I'm not sure when that game is. But if Tampa goes there and beats Portland, I mean, one of those teams got to win. So right now I give the nod to Tampa Bay. Portland's just not showing anything to me, and I think it's an embarrassment to the league. I know that the league owns the team, but all of those players, including the coaches, are putting on tape this kind of effort, and this is basically an audition. Unless the Trailblazers buy out Portland, like a lot of people are talking about that they're going to do, there may not. The way it's going now, Portland's not going to have a team next year. So all those players and coaches are basically, this is their audition and trying to build their resume, and this is the kind of effort they're putting out there. They're better than to lose by 45 points a game. They're better than that. I mean, it's the Arena League. It's not like there's, other than Arizona having a stacked team, the other 7 teams aren't really that stacked to be able to beat Portland by 60 points or 50 points. So Portland's definitely number 8. They are not going to jump up unless they win a game and Tampa loses. And even then, I guess it depends on how Portland wins. But if they, like I said, if they go into the Honda Center on Monday night and actually show up, and there's some level of effort there, and Darren Thomas is able to spark a little bit, then hey, Portland might move up. But as of right now, there's no reason that Portland should be anywhere but number 8, and that's my power rankings. And so, quick recap: goes Arizona 1, Orlando 2, Philly 3, Jacksonville 4, Cleveland 5, LA 6, Tampa Bay Storm number 7, and the Portland Steel number 8. And that's your power rankings. I'll have that up on the up on our AFL Fan Zone website here soon. But why would Ron James take a 1-year job, and do you see them in Sacramento? I think I saw who was it, Adam Markowitz over there on AFL Arena Fan. he was saying that teams just don't really move, and especially a team that's owned by the league. I do think that there will be a team in San Antonio, and maybe they pull a lot of those players. But as far as an organization, I don't see that. But I definitely think that there will be a team in San Jose next year, Arena League team, and that adds on to the team in Washington. So that's two. And then, like Butera said before, they're looking at some Mexico teams, and that's probably why this Univision, is doing all these games, because they have a plan to put teams down in Mexico, and they kind of want to see what the level of interest is going to be. But why would Ron James take a one-year job? I really think that he just wants to be a head coach. I mean, he was the head coach over there with the Power before they folded. I think he wants to show that, hey, I went into this situation, a no-win situation, and I was able to pull out a few wins. I was able to rally the troops, and look, I'm still a leader as a coach. But as of right now, it's not looking good for Ron James. I mean, like I said before, Tampa is not better in talent, and no one says that Lawrence Samuels is a Hall of Fame head coach, and they're still competing in the fourth quarter. So Ron James really needs to get better and get his players fired up. I don't know how he does it. I said at the beginning of the season it may be hard for Portland just because when you're owned by the team and you don't exactly know how the next season's going to be, that's all that creeps in your mind. Because then you go, do I really want to go across the middle? I mean, who am I playing for? So those little things, I think that's why they're getting their ass kicked, and they're not competing in the fourth quarter. But like I said, I think that's why Ron James took that job. I think he wanted to prove something and say, hey, look what I did that 1 year in Portland when there was a no-win situation. But like I said, right now it's not looking good for him. But unless anyone has anything else, this one's actually going pretty long. I try to keep these around 30 minutes, but with a little bit extra with the standings and the power rankings, we're up to almost 40 minutes. But like I said, unless anyone has anything, that's it for me. What do you guys think about? I do want to ask this while you guys here. You guys seem to be here every week. And talk to Scott. What do you guys think about moving this to Tuesday every week? Because I looked at the schedule, and there's a game Monday this week. There's another game Monday the week after that. I don't want to keep moving these every week. I want to do this every week on the same date. That way it gets everyone in a routine. That's why all my weekly updates are on Wednesday. So I'm thinking about moving this to Tuesday every week. What do you guys think about that? Is Tuesday better than Monday? Does it matter? I know we're on a delay, so wait a second. Please do that. Yeah, see, I was thinking the same thing, Todd. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I like having the power ranking. Power rankings seem to be one of our biggest hits. I mean, I'm the same way. I'm a sucker for power rankings. That's why I started doing it. I don't get mad when I read NFL ones. I go, oh, that guy's stupid. Why you got the Lions so low? I always say that kind of stuff. But so I like having my power rankings tonight, and I want to be able to have, like you said, have my power rankings done before this, and I don't want to have to do them during games. So, all right, good call, you guys. I'm gonna start moving them to Tuesday. Then we'll just start doing Tuesday night, Tuesday evening quarterback, where we do our recaps, and that way I can just leave the banner up as well. Well, I mean, we're out of this house in a couple weeks, but once I get to my new house, same thing. All right, so that's it for me. I appreciate you guys coming out and joining the conversation. It makes this a little bit easier. Hopefully Scott won't work next Tuesday. That's why he's missed the last two, I think, because he's worked on the night of the recaps. But hopefully we can get Scott in. If you can share with anyone, that just get the word out, that'd be great. I know last week we had, I think, 6 or 7 people, but moving it to Tuesday kind of screwed up the schedule a little bit. So, like I said, share it, like it. Maybe Todd, we can get you on one of these. you know, maybe we can do picture-in-picture or something if you got a webcam. We can talk about that offline. But yeah, like I said, thanks again. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Make sure that you check out tomorrow's recap. And like I said, the AFL Fan Zone game of the week will be the Arizona Rattlers at the Orlando Predators. That will be up on Friday. So that's it. I will see you guys tomorrow.